August 25, 1944. Saint-Lô, Normandy. 3:17 a.m. The darkness is thick enough to swallow sound. The night air tastes like dust and burned rubber, the lingering scent of the shattered hedgerow country the U.S. Army has spent 2 months clawing through. Clouds smother the moon, only a faint, mechanical hum vibrates across the valley, steady, rhythmic, unnerving in its scale. Private Thomas Red Daniels, 21 years old, son of a dockworker from Savannah, Georgia, sits behind the wheel of a GMC WWII half-ton truck, both hands resting lightly on the cold metal of the steering wheel. His breath rises in a thin cloud. His engine rumbles under the hood, idling like a restless animal. He glances left, then right. Behind him, stretching for miles, are thousands of trucks, olive-drab silhouettes lined up on the dirt road like a serpent of steel. Their headlights are covered with blackout shields. Only razor-thin slivers of light leak onto the mud. "Hey Red," the trucker beside him whispers through the window. "You ready to roll?" Red nods, anxiety twisting in his stomach. He has driven farm trucks. He has driven delivery trucks. He has never driven in a convoy of almost 6,000 vehicles. A sergeant walks past, boots crunching in the gravel. Engine steady, no gaps once we start. Red swallows. He knows the statistics. Nearly. They run day. Driv. M. This is not just trucking. It is war by horsepower. A distant whistle blows. A second whistle answers. Then the third, long, sharp, final. Engines reverent across the darkness. The convoy begins to move. The Red Ball Express, the greatest logistics operation in modern military history, is born in that moment. And somewhere, far behind German lines, generals who once mocked American logistics will soon feel the consequences. The weight of a nation on a steering wheel. Red lets the clutch out slowly. His truck lurches forward, tires biting into the shattered Norman earth. The line of vehicles begins creeping ahead, first at a walking pace, then faster as the convoy stabilizes. He feels the vibration through the seat. He hears the rattle of crates in the back, crates filled with rations. Artillery shells, gasoline, medical kits, aircraft parts, machine gun belts. Everything Patton's Third Army needs to stay alive. A voice crackles over the convoy radio channel. Convoy Baker 6, maintain 25-yard spacing. No stopping. I repeat, no stopping. Red's knuckles tighten. 25 yards. No more. No less. One mistake, and the entire chain collapses. The truck in front of him hugs the dark road, bouncing violently over potholes. Mud splashes onto Red's windshield. He wipes it away with a gloved hand. His partner, Private Lonnie Fields, 23, sits beside him, tall, calm, and impossibly composed. "You nervous?" Lonnie asks. Red forces a smile. "Is it that obvious?" Lonnie chuckles. "Brother, we driving into history, everybody nervous. What the Germans thought was impossible." The convoy snakes onto a newly painted sign hammered into the ground. Red Ball Express, westbound only. A red circle is painted above the words, the same symbol train conductors use to mark high-priority cargo. Behind enemy lines, nearly 500 miles east, General Heinz Wilhelm Guderian, the father of Blitzkrieg, once scoffed at American logistics. "The Americans build good trucks," he had told his staff. "But they do not know how to move an army. Their supply trains will collapse under their own weight." General Alfred Jodl had laughed, dismissing American industrial capacity as overblown. Even Field Marshal von Rundstedt joked, "America fights with toys made in factories." Tonight, those toys move as if pulled by a single hand. 5,958 trucks. Running in 2 endless streams. On 2 one-way highways. 24 hours a day. With no pause. No relief. No margin for failure. On the ground, Red doesn't know the numbers yet, but he feels the scale. "This ain't trucking," Lonnie mutters, "this is an army on wheels." He's right. The Red Ball Express will move more than 412,000 tons of supplies in just 82 days. More than any army in history has ever moved by truck. And it begins with this rumbling, vibrating, midnight march across France. The danger no one talks about. The convoy picks up speed, 25 miles per hour, then 30, then 35. Red grips the wheel tighter. "Watch the ditches," Lonnie warns, "one slip and they never find you." As if on cue, Red glimpses the shape of a wrecked truck off the road, headlights dim. Cab crushed against a tree. Two medics stand beside it, shaking their heads. Red looks away. Gunfire, artillery, and Luftwaffe strafing runs aren't the real killers on the Red Ball Express. It's fatigue. It's rain turning roads into grease. It's brakes heated to glowing red. It's trucks running 24 hours a day without shutting off because if they stop, they may never start again. It's black drivers like Red and Lonnie working under segregation, under scrutiny, and under a burden white units rarely see. But the job must be done. Every fuel can. Every bullet. Every meal. Every artillery round. The entire Allied front depends on this. The first German eyes to see the impossible. 100 miles east, two German reconnaissance officers hide in a hedgerow near a crossroads, listening. Oberleutnant Karl-Heinz Schwarzkopf whispers, "Do you hear that?" His companion nods. The sound is steady, rolling, never stopping. Engines. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. They move at night, Schwarzkopf mutters, always night. He scribbles a note. Continuous American truck movement, possibly supply corridor. Quantity, extreme. Duration, unknown. He underlines the word extreme twice. Another convoy roars by. Then another. Then another. Schwarzkopf removes his fogged-up glasses and rubs his eyes. "This is madness," he whispers. "No army in the world can supply itself like this. It's not possible." But the trucks keep coming. Red faces his first test. Back on the road west of Avranches, the first major challenge appears. A bridge, wooden, temporary, barely wide enough for two trucks. Engineers stand nearby with flashlights covered in red cloth. "Slow it down," Lonnie says. Red eases off the gas. The convoy bunches closer. The bridge groans beneath the weight of the trucks. Engine heat rises. The smell of hot oil fills the cab. Red's heartbeat pounds in his ears. A driver two trucks ahead misjudges the turn slightly, his right wheel skids, nearly slipping off the plank. Red mutters a prayer. The bridge holds. They continue forward. Inside Patton's headquarters. 60 miles south, at his forward command post near Chartres, General George S. Patton stands over a massive operations map. Cigarette smoke curls upward from an ashtray beside him. His polished helmet reflects the glow of a kerosene lamp. Behind him, Major General Leroy Lutz of the Transportation Corps enters. Patton doesn't turn. "I need fuel," he growls, "as of yesterday." Lutz adjusts his glasses. "General, the Red Ball Express has begun operations ahead of schedule. We estimate." "I don't give a damn about estimates." Patton snaps. "I have divisions outrunning their supplies. My tanks are sipping their last drops. I need gasoline, ammunition, and rations, and I need 'em faster than the Germans think we can move." Lutz nods, unoffended. "They will move faster, sir. Every truck we have is going onto those roads. They won't stop until your tanks reach the German border." Patton finally looks up. His eyes gleam beneath the shadows of his helmet. "Good, because the faster we advance, the faster Hitler collapses." Then, almost reluctantly, he adds, "And God help those boys driving the trucks." Night turns to dawn, and the convoy doesn't slow. By 6:12 a.m., the first edge of dawn brushes the horizon. The sky turns pale blue, revealing an astonishing sight. A column of trucks stretching so far it seems to dissolve into the earth itself. Red's eyes widen. Even after hours of driving, the convoy remains endless. He whistles softly, "Lord have mercy." Lonnie leans forward, scanning the road ahead. "This is bigger than Omaha Beach," he says quietly. Red nods. "It's bigger than anything." They pass a field hospital. Nurses wave. They pass a group of infantry resting on their packs. Soldiers cheer as the trucks roar by, their lifeline rolling west. They pass burned-out German vehicles, charred and skeletal. War debris lines the roads. But the Red Ball Express moves like a machine that refuses to acknowledge obstacles. A German observation post, panic in the ranks. In a bunker near the Moselle River, German Major Erich Müller reads Schwarzkopf's reconnaissance report. He laughs at first. Then he stops laughing. He reads it again. Then a third time. 1,000 trucks a day? 2,000? More? He looks at his adjutant. This can't be correct. This must be an exaggeration. The adjutant swallows. "Sir, multiple patrols report the same thing." The major sets the papers down. "Then we have misjudged the Americans completely." He does not say the rest aloud. "We are not fighting an army. We are fighting a factory." The convoy reaches its first drop point. At 7:49 a.m., Red sees the sign. Supply dump R3, Patton's Third Army. The trucks pull into a vast clearing, stacked crates, fuel dumps, mobile cranes, forklifts, engineers waving red flags. Red brings the truck to a stop. His muscles ache. His eyes burn. His head throbs from tension. But he made it. Lonnie slaps his shoulder. First run down, he says, 50 more to go. Red laughs weakly. Lord help me. What they do not know yet. As they unload crates in the morning sun, Red and Lonnie do not know that the Red Ball Express will deliver 12.500 tons of supplies every single day. That it will keep Patton's tanks moving at a speed no German logistics officer believes possible. That it will shorten the war by an estimated 6 months. That it will become the most successful trucking operation in military history. That it will be run primarily by African American soldiers, many of whom enlisted from segregated towns where they weren't allowed to vote. They do not know that German generals will later admit, in shock, in humiliation, in disbelief, no army in history has ever moved its supplies so far, so fast, with such abundance. But right now, all Red knows is that he survived his first night. And the Red Ball Express is only just beginning to roll. August 26, 1944. Near Argenton, France. 2:11 p.m. The earth trembles long before the tanks appear. Dust rises in a low brown haze across the horizon, pulsing, rolling, alive. Private Thomas, Red, Daniels stands beside his now empty truck, wiping sweat off his brow as he watches Patton's armored columns thunder east like a metallic storm. Shermans, half-tracks, armored cars, tank destroyers, self-propelled artillery. The sight is overwhelming. This is what all that gas was for. Lonnie mutters beside him. Red nods slowly. The Third Army doesn't advance, it surges. Its armored divisions swallow miles the way other armies swallow hours. And it is only the second day of the Red Ball Express. Where the enemy expected slowness, they found lightning. 20 miles east, Wehrmacht Oberst Hans von Manteuffel stands on a hill overlooking the Falaise Pockets ruins. Smoke rises in thin columns from shattered panzers littering the valley below. He has survived the annihilation of his corps by a miracle and a night march. Now he waits for reports from the front. A scout motorcycle screeches up. The rider salutes, voice cracking. American armor approaching faster than predicted. Herr Oberst. Von Manteuffel frowns. How much faster? The rider hesitates. We estimate 50 kilometers in one day. That's impossible, the colonel snaps. The rider swallows hard. Sir, they are resupplied entirely by truck. Truck? Von Manteuffel scoffs. Trucks can't support a mechanized army. You need railroads, fuel trains, depots, storage. He shakes his head, unaware that every assumption he believes is already dead. The Americans do not wait for rails. They bring the rails with them. Millions of tires. Thousands of engines. Tens of thousands of drivers. A mobile supply chain without precedent in human history. And while von Manteuffel stands on the hill, still convinced trucks cannot move an army, Red's convoy is already on its way back toward Normandy, preparing to haul another 12.000 tons of supplies straight into France's interior. The turnaround, no sleep, no pause, no mercy on machinery. Red's rest lasts only 42 minutes. A corporal beats on the side of the truck. Daniels, Fields, back on the line, you roll in 15. Lonnie groans, 15? That's how the Red Ball works. Load up and roll. The corporal walks off. Red sighs. All right, let's get it. They climb into the GMCCCKW and drive toward the loading zone. Mechanics swarm like ants around the convoy, hammering damaged fenders back into shape. Checking tires, topping off radiators, replacing shattered headlights. One mechanic glances into Red's cab. Your oil pressure's running high, he warns. Red shrugs. We don't stop long enough to cool. You'll blow a gasket if you push too hard. Lonnie laughs. Brother, the whole express gonna blow a gasket. The mechanic gives a pitying smirk and slaps the hood. Then God help you boys. Inside the fuel dump, where the offensive lives or dies. A quarter mile away, thousands of jerrycans stacked in cages form a metallic maze. Men of the Quartermaster Corps refill trucks with gasoline pumped from 55-gallon drums. The air burns with the smell of fuel. A sergeant shouts over the clatter. Move it, Patton's tanks burned through 350.000 gallons yesterday. Third Army needs more, now move. Red watches a crane lower crates of .30 cal ammunition into the truck bed. Lonnie whistles. We're hauling the whole damn war. Feels that way, Red says. Because it is that way. Red smirks. Lonnie isn't joking. Back east, panic in a German staff meeting. At the German 7th Army headquarters near Metz, General Hasso von Manteuffel faces a room of exhausted officers. Maps are spread across the table, marked with frantic pencil lines showing American movement. A young logistics officer clears his throat nervously. Sir, 3rd Army has outrun our estimates. They have advanced nearly 90 kilometers in 3 days. The room murmurs. Von Manteuffel slams his palm on the table. 90? Impossible. Another officer shakes his head. We believe the Americans have created specialized supply corridors. Truck only, no civilian traffic. Von Manteuffel narrows his eyes. How many trucks? Silence. Then a major answers softly. Thousands, sir. Another adds. They move constantly, night and day. We hear them even from our lines. Always the engines, always the convoy. It never stops. Von Manteufel's face stiffens. This isn't blitzkrieg. It's something else. Something bigger. A supply chain that behaves like a living organism. He turns to his staff. The Americans, he mutters, have built a rolling railroad. Red learns the rhythm of the road. By early afternoon Red is on the highway again, this time route N24 bis. An old Normandy road transformed into a one-way artery exclusively for outbound convoys. To avoid collisions, traffic flows only one direction. Return trips take a separate dedicated road. Trucks move with discipline, almost ritualistically. Speed, 25 to 35 miles per hour. Distance, 25 yards. Lights, blackout slits only. Stops, forbidden. Breakdowns, pushed into the ditch. Fueling, done mid-route by roving jeep teams. Sleep, not guaranteed for anyone. Lonnie hums a bebop tune as they roll. You feel that? He asks. What? The rhythm. The road's got a rhythm to it. Red listens. The tires thumping on patched asphalt. The gearbox whining at a constant pitch. Engines ahead and behind vibrating in sync. The faint hum of thousands of wheels on a deadline. Yes, Red whispers, I feel it. Lonnie grins. That's the sound of victory. Red. The convoy nearly breaks. 3 hours into the haul, the road begins climbing along. Tortuous hill, exhaust pours from every truck. Gears grind, engines scream. A truck ahead loses momentum. Its speed drops. Its rear wheels spin. And it begins to stall. Don't stop, its commander yells. Too late. The engine coughs twice. Dies. The truck rolls backward a few inches and blocks the lane. Shit, Lonnie shouts. Red, floor it. Red slams the gas. The GMC groans, surging forward at the last second. Behind them, a horn blares, a truck swerves, barely missing Red's tailgate. Another truck isn't so lucky, it slams into the dead truck's fender. Chaos erupts. Officers rush in, waving batons. Push it into the ditch. Move. Drivers leap out, shoving with all their strength. One man slips on gravel, twisting his ankle. Another burns his hand on the overheated hood. A third shouts, it's gonna catch fire, as sparks spit from the dragging metal. Finally the broken truck is shoved aside. The convoy flows again. Red wipes sweat from his forehead. Lord Almighty, he mutters, that was close. Lonnie exhales shakily, that's the Red Ball way. Patton unleashed, fueled by the express. By nightfall, Patton's forward elements reach the outskirts of Verdun, a distance logistics officers had estimated would take 8 to 12 days. Patton's divisions did it in 3. Engineers rush forward to widen roads. Recon units race ahead to secure bridges. Tank commanders plan fresh strikes. Artillery moves up with frightening speed. In the map tent, Patton's chief of staff reports. Supplies from the Red Ball Express exceeded projections. Another 13.000 tons reached forward depots. Patton lights a cigar, lips curling in satisfaction. Then we push harder. His voice drops, low and sharp. I want the Krauts to feel like the devil himself is behind them. He jabs a finger at the map. We are not stopping until the German border breaks. A conversation in the cab, why they drive. Hours later, Red and Lonnie switch seats so Lonnie can take his turn behind the wheel. Red leans back and lets the vibration lull his aching muscles. Lonnie glances over. You know why this matters, right? Red opens one eye. What? This war, this driving, us being here. Red sighs. We're doing our part, that's all. Lonnie shakes his head. No, Red, we're doing more than that. He taps the dashboard. This truck, it ain't just hauling gas. It's hauling justice. Red raises an eyebrow. Lonnie continues. Back home we ain't allowed in half the places we drive by in this uniform. But out here, the whole damn army depends on us. Patton depends on us. Hell, Eisenhower depends on us. Red thinks about it. The segregation. The insults. The laws. The barriers. And the irony that saving democracy often fell on men who didn't get to fully enjoy it. Lonnie smiles faintly. One day, folks gonna know what we did out here. Red looks out at the horizon. Endless trucks. Endless mud. Endless duty. I hope so. German High Command realizes its mistake. At 11:17 p.m., inside the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia, a frail, exhausted Hitler listens to a logistics report from General Jodl. The Americans have created massive supply highways. Jodl says shakily, our reconnaissance indicates thousands of trucks supplying Patton. Hitler waves his hand dismissively. Exaggeration, panic, the Americans are soft, they do not endure hardship. Jodl clears his throat. Mein Führer, the Americans seem prepared to endure anything. Their supply columns stretch from Normandy to Paris. Hitler stiffens. That distance is impossible to maintain. Jodl hesitates. Yes, my Führer, for us. But not for them. Jodl doesn't mention the worst part, the part the staff officers whisper about. America is not a country at war. America is an industrial empire that produces war. And tonight that empire moves on wheels. Destroying the myth of American softness. Back on the road, rain begins to fall, heavy, pounding, relentless. Mud swallows the tires. Visibility drops to almost nothing. The trucks slow to a crawl. Red leans forward. I can't see a thing. Lonnie squints. Stay on the wheel ruts. Follow the tail light slit. Don't drift. Thunder cracks overhead, echoing across the valley. Ahead, a truck loses traction and fishtails. It spins once, twice, before slamming sideways into a ditch. The driver staggers out, drenched in mud and oil, screaming in frustration. Red slows, gripping the wheel. You think he's okay? Lonnie nods grimly. He'll live, his truck won't. Someone gonna pick him up? Lonnie shakes his head. Convoy don't stop. Red swallows hard. This isn't the logistics the Germans mocked. This isn't softness. This is endurance. This is will. This is the industrial heart of America beating against the hardest road in Europe. A final push before dawn. When the rain finally stops, the moon breaks through the clouds. The convoy pushes on through fog and steam rising off the wet earth. Red's voice cracks from exhaustion. How long we been driving? Lonnie checks the dash clock. 17 hours. Red laughs weakly. We're outlasting the trucks. Lonnie grins. Then we just patch em up and keep going. The road stretches ahead into darkness. Behind them? Miles of trucks. Ahead of them? Miles more. Everyone carrying ammunition, gas, food, medicine. A supply chain with no beginning and no end. A machine without rest. A miracle the world has never seen before. And the Germans have no idea how to stop it. August 29, 1944. Near Reims, France. 4:42 a.m. The engines are louder at night. The sound crawls across the countryside like a living thing, a rolling thunder of pistons, gears, and steel wheels pounding the pavement. German civilians in nearby villages wake with dread, hearing what they think is an armored assault. But it's not tanks. It's trucks. Row after row after row, stretching farther than imagination. Inside one of them, Private Thomas, Red, Daniels grips the wheel, fighting to keep his eyes open. Lonnie sleeps with his chin on his chest, one hand loosely holding his M1 carbine. The cab smells like coffee, sweat, and gasoline. Red blinks hard. He hasn't slept in 30 hours. Ahead, a military policeman waves them into a sharper turn. His white gloves flash in the dark, the only visible signal. His whistle cuts through the convoy noise like a razor. Red shifts gears. The truck groans. Another hour down. Hundreds still ahead. The convoy enters the zone of silence. By sunrise, the Red Ball Express reaches the Reims bypass, a makeshift highway carved through vineyards, fields, and grape arbors. Engineers bulldozed entire hedgerows to build it. Signs on wooden stakes line the route. Red Ball only. No civilian traffic. No stopping. No turning back. Another sign farther ahead reads simply, "Zone of silence, no talking." Red frowns at that one. "What's that mean?" he asks. Lonnie smirks. "Means we're too close to the line. Sound carries. Germans got patrols in these woods. Snipers too." Red swallows hard. The road narrows, hemmed in by shadowy trees. Mechanics with red armbands line the shoulders, ready to yank broken trucks out of the path. Every few minutes, one does. A smoking radiator. A burst tire. A snapped drive shaft. 30% of the trucks will break each day. But the miracle is that 70% keep going. A German listening post, the night it became obvious. Just 300 yards east of the convoy route, half hidden in a camouflaged dugout, Unteroffizier Max Ritter presses his ear to the field telephone receiver. He hears the trucks. God, does he hear them? Not dozens. Not hundreds. Thousands. It sounds like a mechanical sea, endless waves crashing against the French earth. His sergeant sits hunched over a map. "How many?" the sergeant asks. Ritter swallows. "Sir," the noise suggests, "perhaps a convoy 10 miles long." The sergeant stiffens. 10? Ritter hesitates. "Maybe more." The sergeant removes his helmet, rubs his temples, and mutters, "Americans, they fight like billionaires." Another wave of engines passes. Another. Another. The sergeant suddenly slams his fist on the table. "It's not an army," he growls. "It's a factory, a goddamn factory on wheels." Ritter feels a knot in his chest. At that moment, that exact moment, every German logistic assumption breaks in half. Red learns the rolling train drill. 10 miles west of Verdun, the MPs flag down the convoy. Train drill, close up tight. Lonnie sits up. "Hold on, Red, this is gonna get hairy." The convoy compresses, trucks closing gaps until they run nose to tail. Barely 6 feet apart. "Why we doing this?" Red asks. "Air threat," Lonnie replies. "If the Luftwaffe shows up, they hit us one truck at a time anyway. Might as well move like a single train, harder target." A corporal jogs past shouting, "No gaps. If you leave a 20-foot space, the whole train's ruined." Red takes a breath. The trucks tighten until they feel like railcars on an invisible track. The air becomes thick with heat and exhaust. Lonnie grips the dash. "Just keep steady." Red nods. He can feel goosebumps rising on his arms. This is no longer a convoy. This is a mobile supply organism. A single nerve, stretching across France. A single artery, feeding Patton's offensive. Red flips to third gear. Engines around him roar in perfect synchronization. It feels like the heartbeat of an industrial titan. Meanwhile, Patton's army does the impossible. Dawn breaks over the Meuse River. General George S. Patton stands beside an M20 armored car, his pearl-handled pistols gleaming in the morning light. His staff huddles around him, cold breath rising in the chill. Colonel Harkins points to the map. "Sir, the Red Ball deliveries yesterday exceeded 14.000 tons. Fuel dumps across the line are at maximum volume." Patton grins. "Then we go for the throat." He taps the map with the end of his riding crop. "Metz, Nancy, Brie, Saarbrücken." His eyes narrow. "We reach the German border before they know what hit them." A captain stares at the map incredulously. "But sir, we were told such an advance was impossible." Patton snorts. "Impossible? My tanks move on gas. And the Red Ball Express brings me gas." He turns to his staff. "You give me fuel, gentlemen, and I'll give you Germany." A mechanical failure becomes a death sentence. Back on the road, Red sees smoke ahead. A truck has blown its radiator. Steam gushes into the air like a geyser. The driver waves frantically, panicked. Lonnie swears under his breath. "Breakdown, bad spot too." Red checks his spacing. If the broken truck doesn't clear the road in seconds, dozens of trucks will pile up. The entire supply chain could crash. MPs sprint forward. Push it, push it. Drivers leap from their cabs. Boots digging. Shoulders straining. Metal screaming. The truck budges an inch. Then two. Then, with a violent scrape, it tumbles into the ditch. One driver falls with it. Red gasps. "Is he okay?" Lonnie stares. "Doesn't matter, he'll be alive, but his truck's gone." Another casualty of the logistics war. Red's knuckles whiten on the wheel. Every minute, someone's truck dies. Every mile, someone gets left behind. Every day, The express consumes its own machines to keep Patton supplied. But the convoy never stops. Inside a German divisional HQ, absolute confusion. Near the Moselle River, General Otto von Knobelsdorff stands before a massive chalkboard showing fuel estimates. A colonel taps the board nervously. "Sir, our panzers can no longer maneuver. Fuel shortages are critical." Von Knobelsdorff sighs. "And the Americans?" The colonel hesitates. "They do not suffer shortages." The general scoffs. "Nonsense. No army can advance this far from its depots without collapsing." The colonel swallows. "Sir, we hear the trucks, constantly. Our patrols have reported convoys 30, 40 kilometers long." A younger officer adds. "They have industrial capacity, sir, incredible capacity." Von Knobelsdorff snaps angrily. "Capacity does not matter if they outrun their rails." Silence falls. No one dares speak the obvious. The Americans don't need rails. Red witnesses something that changes him. That night, during a brief break, Red wanders behind the rest stop. He finds 3 men from the 3rd Armored Division waiting for fuel. They look exhausted. One, a corporal, leans against a half-track with hollow eyes. "You Red Ball?" he asks. Red nods. The corporal steps forward and grips Red's hand. "Thank you," he says quietly. "If you boys don't keep us running, we die out there." Red freezes. The sincerity hits him like a hammer. "We're just hauling gas," Red says softly. The corporal shakes his head. "You're winning the damn war." He steps back. His eyes gleam in the firelight. "You're the reason we move." Red walks away in silence, heart pounding. Lonnie finds him minutes later. "You good?" "Yeah," Red says quietly, "better than good." The Germans see the convoy in daylight, and their morale breaks. By early September, German units near Chalons-sur-Marne witness something no Wehrmacht formation has ever seen. Convoys of trucks so long they look like an iron ribbon stretching across the horizon. Gefreiter Rudolf Seitz stares from a hedgerow, jaw slack. "Mein Gott, how many?" His sergeant whispers. "As many as America wants." For the first time, the sergeant sounds scared. Patton reaches the Meuse. On September 3, Patton's tanks reach the Meuse River. 24 hours later, they cross it. Red and Lonnie roll into a forward dump just as tank crews shout and cheer. Patton's men didn't stop. They didn't slow. They didn't wait. Because the Red Ball Express kept filling their fuel tanks. A tanker crewman raises his jerrycan and yells. "To the Express! The Road Warriors!" Lonnie laughs. "We're famous now." Red wipes sweat off his brow. "Let 'em cheer, we still gotta drive back." Fueling the breakthrough to the German border. On September 5, Patton's 4th Armored Division reaches the Moselle River. On the 7th, they reach Nancy. On the 10th, they take Luneville. The Germans fall back faster than their headquarters can issue orders. Von Manteuffel reads the situation report and mutters. "They are moving too fast. They should have collapsed days ago." A captain answers bluntly. "They do not collapse." The report continues. Enemy resupply occurs at all hours. Endless truck columns audible as far as 8 kilometers. Von Manteuffel closes his eyes. For the first time in the war, he whispers. "We cannot outfight them. We cannot outpace them. We cannot outlast them." He looks at his staff. "We are fighting a nation that has no limit." Red drives toward an unknown future. By the time Red and Lonnie turn their truck west for another run, dusk has settled again over the French countryside. Red looks at the line of vehicles ahead. He knows he will drive through the night. He knows he will sleep in the cab again. He knows the trucks will break. The rain will fall. The Germans will listen from the woods. And Patton will be waiting for more. But tonight he feels something new. Purpose. Lonnie pats his shoulder. "We're part of something historic." "Red, you feel it?" Red nods. "Yeah, I feel it." The engine hums. The convoy moves. The Red Ball Express rolls on, unstoppable, unrelenting, undeniable. And Germany, for the first time, realizes it is facing a machine it cannot comprehend. A machine powered by democracy. By industry. By determination. By black and white soldiers driving side by side through the night. By a nation that simply refused to slow down. September 12, 1944. Eastern France, the Lorraine Corridor. 3:03 a.m. Fog clings to the fields like a ghostly blanket. The night is windless, eerily still, except for the single sound that has ruled the French countryside for nearly 3 weeks. Engines. Hundreds of them, thousands of them. A mechanical storm rolling across the land. Private Thomas, Red, Daniels leans forward over the wheel of his GMCCCKW. His eyelids flutter, he slaps his face twice. Hard, trying to stay awake. Lonnie sits beside him, humming a tired blues riff under his breath. He peers out through the slit of the blackout headlight. "These roads gonna be the death of us," he murmurs. Red answers with a dry laugh. "Death can wait, we got gas to haul." Outside the cab, France flashes by in streaks of moonlit blur, ruined barns, orchards stripped bare, small villages packed with refugees who stand silently in the doorways as the endless convoys pass. Many raise their hands in gratitude. Some cross themselves. Others simply stare. Because they've never seen anything like this. No one has. Not the French. Not the Germans. Not even the Americans who built it. This is the Red Ball Express in full fury, the 82-day miracle that no military theorist ever believed could exist. The machine never sleeps. Red and Lonnie stop at an improvised rest point, but the pause lasts only long enough for a mechanic team to swap out one of Red's overheating brake drums. A sergeant rushes over. "Daniels, Fields, load zone 3, you're rolling again in 6 minutes." Lonnie groans. 6? That's all we get? That's all anybody gets. The sergeant walks away. Red rubs his temples. "I can't feel my legs." Lonnie cracks his neck. "Then use your arms." They both laugh, but it's the kind of laugh that comes from the edge of exhaustion. Nearby, Red notices something, a group of drivers sleeping in the dirt under their trucks. Boots still on, hands still on their steering wheels. Lonnie nods toward them. That's the real Red Ball right there. Because the truth is harsh. The trucks sleep more than the men do. Inside the maintenance yard, the unsung miracle workers. A few hundred yards away, under flickering lamps, the maintenance yard roars like a forge. Engines torn open. Tires shredded. Transmissions scattered across the mud like metal guts. Sergeant Marvin, Gearbox, Jones, a mechanic from Baltimore with forearms like steel cables, barks orders over the chaos. "Strip that carburetor. Get that axle replaced. If it ain't running in 5 minutes, you push it out and burn it." One of his men gloves up and hollers. "Sarge, this truck's crankshaft is shot." Gearbox snorts. "Then weld it till it ain't." "But." "No buts, we ain't got spare crankshafts. We got a war to supply." The mechanic sighs and gets to work. 30% of trucks break. But 90% get put back on the road. Red watches mechanics from every background, white, black, Hispanic, native Hawaiian, working side by side, covered in grime and sweat. Lonnie nods toward the chaos. That's the heart of the express right there. Not the drivers, not the officers, those boys. Red smiles. Hardest working men on the continent. No argument there. German fear grows, the sound that never stops. East of the Moselle River, Wehrmacht Major Klaus Reiter scribbles furiously in his field journal. He has been counting trucks by sound for 2 hours. He looks at his watch. 2:08 a.m. 2:21 a.m. 2:34 a.m. 2:51 a.m. Every 13 minutes, a new wave of engines rolls across the hills. He writes, "American transport activity has no detectable pause. It seems without limit." His lieutenant, pale and trembling, mutters, "Sir, their supply lines are longer than ours ever were on the Eastern Front." Reiter doesn't look up. Yes. And yet they do not break. Reiter stops writing. "We assumed an army cannot outrun its depots." "It can't, sir, unless the depots move with it." Reiter closes the journal. The truth has settled on him like a weight he cannot shake. America is not fighting with an army. It is fighting with an entire civilization mobilized for war. And the Red Ball Express is the proof hammering across France every night. Patton pushes toward Germany, fueled by the ton. At dawn, Patton stands beside a fuel dump outside Commercy, boots sinking into the dew-soaked grass. Quartermasters open valve after valve, gasoline pouring into tankers. Patton breathes deeply, the sharp smell of fuel mixing with cold morning air. "Smells like victory," he mutters. Major General Leroy Lutz approaches with a clipboard. "Another 12.700 tons delivered yesterday. Sir, the express is holding." Patton grins. "Then the Germans won't be holding much longer." He points his riding crop toward the east. Tell my tankers, full speed ahead. His staff hesitates. Full speed, sir, we're nearly at the German border. The lines are. Patton cuts him off. You worry about roads, the Red Ball boys will worry about gas. He mounts his jeep, eyes blazing with ambition. The Third Army moves until the Kraut's heads spin clean off. Red encounters the enemy for the first time. That evening, while the convoy rolls through a forested stretch near Verdun, muffled gunshots echo through the trees. Lonnie stiffens. You hear that? Red nods. MP jeeps speed forward. Lights flashing. Ambush up ahead, a military policeman shouts. Stay in your trucks, keep moving. Machine gun bursts light up the tree line. Grenades explode in sharp flashes. Branches rain down on the convoy like wooden shrapnel. Red grips the wheel. Lonnie cocks his M1. That ain't artillery, that's rifles. German stragglers, cut off and starving, have begun raiding the convoy routes. A bullet cracks the side of Red's cab. Red ducks instinctively. Keep driving, Lonnie shouts. Don't slow. Trucks ahead accelerate. Comms crackle with panic. Headlights wobble wildly across the mud. Another burst rakes the convoy. A truck 2 vehicles ahead swerves, hits a stump, and flips into a ditch. Red shouts. Jesus. Lonnie yells. Go around. Red's truck bucks over churned up mud, jostling violently. But they make it. MPs return fire. The German ambushers flee into the woods. Red's hands shake. Lonnie lets out a long breath. Welcome to the front line, Red. The driver's world shrinks to the cab, and the road. By midnight, they're deep into another run. Red's entire world is reduced to the wheel, the engine, the tail light slit ahead, and the endless thrum of the convoy. Rain batters the windshield. Mud sprays the chassis. The truck rattles like it's about to fall apart. Lonnie nudges Red. You okay? Red nods. Barely. This is something else. You'll get used to it. I don't think so. Lonnie chuckles. Me neither. Outside, the convoy pushes forward, blind, battered, and exhausted. But moving. Always moving. Captured German testimony, the moment of realization. On September 18, a captured German officer named Oberstleutnant Rudolf Benzinger sits in a canvas interrogation tent. Across from him, a U.S. intelligence captain flips through a notebook. Benzinger speaks slowly. You Americans, you do something no doctrine accounts for. And what's that? The captain asks. Benzinger gestures toward the east. We hear your trucks every night. Thousands. Endless. The captain shrugs. We know how to move supplies. Benzinger shakes his head violently. No, you move industry, entire factories, every gallon of fuel you burn. You replace within hours, not days, hours. He leans forward, defeated. Germany cannot match this. We fight divisions. You fight with a nation. A truck fire, and a hard lesson. On the way back west, Red smells smoke. He checks his mirrors. Oh no. A truck 2 vehicles behind him has caught fire, sparks shooting from the engine block. Lonnie curses. Grab the extinguishers. They jump out, racing back along the road. The driver stands helpless as flames lick across the hood. Red yanks open the side panel and douses the engine with foam. Lonnie sprays the wheels. The fire dies down. The driver collapses to his knees. Thank you, Lord, thank you. Red pats his shoulder. It happens. These trucks ain't new. Lonnie adds. We're all running on prayer. The Lorraine offensive, fueled to the teeth. By late September, Patton's forces attack the fortified city of Metz, an objective Hitler has promised cannot fall. Patton's staff brief him. Sir, the Red Ball has delivered over 200,000 tons so far. Ammunition stocks are overflowing. Patton laughs. Then we'll bury Metz under it. And they do. Artillery batters the fortresses day and night. Tanks encircle the city. Infantry pushes in with deadly force. Behind them, the Red Ball Express moves like a living artery pumping life into the offensive. Metz falls on November 22. German General Hermann Balck writes privately. We lost Metz not to Patton's guns, but to the endless supply columns behind him. The weight of what they're doing finally hits Red. Late one night, Red and Lonnie reach a temporary refuel point. As they sit on the hood, eating cold rations, Red stares at the road. Trucks. More trucks. More trucks. Endless. He speaks softly. Lonnie, this is bigger than us. Lonnie nods. It's bigger than Patton too. Red takes a deep breath. We're changing the war. Lonnie smiles. We ain't just changing the war. Red. He places a hand on Red's shoulder. We're deciding it. Red looks out into the night, engines humming, headlights flickering, miles of olive-drab steel rolling ever forward. And he believes it. For the first time since he arrived in Europe. He truly believes it. The Red Ball Express is no longer an experiment. No longer an improvisation. No longer a gamble. It is a thunderous, unstoppable force, an industrial miracle wrapped in canvas and sweat. And Germany can hear it coming. Every single night. November 6, 1944. Belgian border, approaching Germany. 2:58 a.m. The night sky spits sleet. The road ahead is a ribbon of slush and ice. Wind howls across the bare fields, bending signposts and snapping tree limbs like dry bones. Private Thomas, Red, Daniels leans forward in his seat, hands frozen to the steering wheel. His breath fogs the windshield as the GMCCCKW climbs a steep hill toward the Belgian frontier. The truck rattles like it's on its last legs. Lonnie stares at the road ahead, silent and tense. They both know what this means. They're almost at Germany's border. This is it, Lonnie whispers. Red nods. This is it. Behind them, miles of trucks creep through the storm, more than 200 vehicles in their convoy alone. And dozens of convoys behind and ahead. The Red Ball Express is battered, exhausted, and running on trucks that should have died weeks ago. But it's still moving. Always moving. And tonight, its headlights stretch like a glowing artery toward Hitler's western frontier. The German border, a boundary of despair. In a damp bunker near Aachen, Wehrmacht Major Karl-Heinz Schwarzkopf stares at a situation map lit by a dim field lantern. His adjutant enters quickly, boots splashing water across the concrete floor. Sir, more reports from our patrols. They can hear the American trucks again. Schwarzkopf rubs his reddened eyes. How many trucks? The adjutant shakes his head. They say it's not possible to count. The sound is constant. Herr Major, day and night. Schwarzkopf slams a fist onto the table. Then our war is finished. He stands, shoulders heavy. For years we believed the Americans soft, indisciplined, dependent on comfort. The adjutant hesitates. And now, sir? Schwarzkopf glances at the map, at the arrows showing the American advance. At the long, snaking supply lines that German doctrine said should be impossible. His voice cracks. Now we know they are made of iron. The final weeks of the Red Ball Express, pushing beyond limits. By early November, the Express has carried more than 412.000 tons of supplies across France. 412.000 tons. The number is so large it begins to lose meaning, until you remember what those tons include. Fuel that turns Patton's Shermans into steel predators. Artillery that cracks open Metz and the West Wall fortresses. Rations that keep 10 divisions alive in freezing rain. Medical supplies that save the wounded streaming back from the front. Winter clothing that keeps infantry alive when temperatures plunge below freezing. All of it arriving on time. All of it delivered by exhausted men in trucks that should have died after 10.000 miles, but somehow made it to 20.000. Some to 30.000. A few to 40.000. Because the mechanics and drivers refuse to let them die. Red watches one of the maintenance crew replace a transmission in 9 minutes flat, a job that should take hours. Lonnie whistles low. They makin' miracles out here. Red nods. So are we. The race against the riots of weather and fatigue. Snow begins falling on November 10th, turning the Lorraine corridor into a white wasteland. Trucks skid, tires spin, engines choke. Lonnie grips the dash as the rear wheels fishtail. Careful. Red holds the wheel firm, jaw clenched. I'm trying. Visibility collapses to almost nothing. The only reference point is the faint glow of blackout slits on the truck ahead. A driver 3 vehicles ahead misjudges a curve and rolls into a ditch. Another loses traction and slides backward. MPs wave flags frantically. Keep moving, no stopping. The convoy inching forward looks like an act of prayer more than driving. Lonnie mutters. This weather gonna kill more trucks than the Krauts. Red replies. We keep going. Lonnie nods. We always do. The day the Express reached the Ardennes, and the Germans broke. On November 12, German General Hasso von Manteuffel receives the latest intelligence briefing. His aide reads aloud. Enemy supply throughput remains unlimited. Enemy truck columns continue at unprecedented scale. They have reached the Ardennes sector with full fuel dumps. Manteufel covers his face with both hands. Unprecedented, unlimited, full fuel dumps. His voice becomes a whisper. God help us. He looks at his officers, proud men, hardened on the Eastern Front, now broken by a simple, undeniable fact. The enemy is not stopping. Every doctrine the Germans believed has collapsed. Americans weren't slow. They weren't complacent. They weren't bound by fragile rail lines. They built a mobile industrial engine. And it is now roaring at Germany's gates. A moment of reflection, when Red finally understands his role. Standing beside a fuel dump near Bastogne, Red watches Patton's tank crews swarm their vehicles, preparing for another push east. One tanker walks by, slaps Red's truck, and grins. You boys are the real warfighters. We just pull the triggers. Red laughs. You taken all the credit though. The tanker smiles. Anyone can shoot a gun. Not everyone can keep an army alive. Lonnie steps beside Red. You hear that? Red nods. Yeah. That's what I've been telling you. Red smiles slowly. He finally believes him. The collapse of German morale, the convoys that never ended. In the early morning of November 14th, Unteroffizier Max Ritter, the same German who first heard the trucks weeks earlier, writes one final entry in his journal. He writes, "The Americans move supplies with the fury of nature, as if the earth itself carries them forward. We have rationed fuel for our tanks and our men go hungry. Yet the Americans, they drown our front with abundance." He pauses, listening to the distant hum. He adds, "If this is war, we have no answer to it." The final push of the Express, toward victory. On November 16th, the Red Ball Express completes its last official run. At 4:12 a.m., Red parks his truck at a depot near Nancy for the final time. Exhaustion hits him like a hammer. He leans against the steering wheel and exhales long and slow. Lonnie pats his back. We did it. Red smiles weakly. Feels unreal. Feels like history. Around them, drivers climb out of their cabs, some laughing, some crying, some too tired to speak. Mechanics drop their tools. Officers shake hands with drivers who look barely conscious. A major from the Transportation Corps climbs onto a crate and shouts, "Men, listen up. In 82 days, you delivered 412,000 tons of supplies. 122 million ton miles. You kept Patton supplied when every expert said it was impossible." He pauses. "And you shortened this war by at least 6 months." Cheers rise, faint at first, then swelling across the field. Red stands in the cold dawn, tears mixing with sleet on his cheeks. Lonnie whispers, "We changed the world." Red nods. "Damn right we did." What the Germans said after the war. Years later, interrogated German generals admitted, "No army in history has ever moved so far, so fast, on wheels alone. The Red Ball Express achieved what we considered impossible. We did not lose to American tanks, we lost to American logistics." And the most haunting of all, we were outfought, yes, but we were outsupplied first. The legacy of the men who drove into history. 23,000 drivers, most of them African American, proved something the world had forgotten. That courage isn't just on the front line. It's in the hands on the wheel. In the grease under your nails. In the nights with no sleep. In the roads with no mercy. In the engines that roar until the war is won. The Red Ball Express drivers fought without rifles. They fought without glory. They fought without medals, without parades. But they fought. Every mile they drove was a blow against tyranny. Every ton they delivered was a step toward liberation. Every night they kept moving was another night Germany slipped closer to defeat. And Private Thomas, Red, Daniels. And Lonnie Fields. And the 23,000 men beside them. They didn't just support an army. They carried it. All the way to the German border. All the way to victory. All the way into history.